Good morning, good evening, and welcome to World of Warships. My name is Robin, and today we are going to sail in the Tier 8 premium US Navy battleship, Massachusetts. But first of all, thank you very much for tuning in the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you will enjoy your time here. Today's episode is probably one to be remembered, considering the game we are about to review. I do not want to spoil, and the thumbnail might already have done that, but we are in for a hell of a ride. Massachusetts got implemented in the game recently and has gained a lot of popularity throughout the community from its performances in general and the very interesting gameplay it brings for a battleship. We'll get into a description of what unique features these dreadnoughts possess, and then move on to the actual gameplay and what we can all learn from it. So, without further ado, let's review the details of the ship we're about to sail in. Massachusetts embarks a classical armament for the US Navy battleships of the tier, it being 9x 406mm guns in a 3x3 turret configuration. The reload time is the usual 30 seconds, and the maximum firing range is topped at 18.3 km, which, considering the overall range of our peers, is under average. Composed of 20 127mm guns, 5x 2 guns each side, with a stock firing range of 7.5 km. The ship's secondary armaments is also something to notice. She has 66,300 points of health and reaches a top speed of 27.5 knots. Her anti-air defense system is rated 89, her surface detection is 14.5 km, and the armor thickness goes from 6 to 457 millimeters. Again, a rather strong but classical warship design for the American tech tree, but let's now get into the upgrades and commander skills. For this build I've installed main armament modification 1, damage control system modification 1, secondary battery modification 2, damage control system modification 2, and concealment system modification 1. The build I've just detailed is, as some of you know, a secondary and tank focused one, not especially relying on upgrading the gun platform itself, and I'll justify my choices later on. For my commander, priority target, preventive maintenance, AR, superintendent, manual fire control for secondary armaments, inertia fuse for HE shells, and advanced firing training. On paper, Massachusetts resemble a lot to the Alabama, both being South Dakota class warships. Although Massachusetts distinguishes herself with improved secondary firepower and a very competitive heel that recharges way faster than average. Not only it allows her to take a massive beating in the first place, it also changes drastically her playstyle and the way she actually handles damage compared to her peers and contemporaries. Although that is well enough of these descriptions. All that we've just reviewed we'll explain again, this time in details along the way, with footage behind my words. So, without further ado, let's take the Massachusetts to battle.
Good luck and fair seas.
And here we are, on the map Warrior's Path Domination Mode. We have spawned on the southeast part of the map, with objective B and C directly facing us, and I started this game with my mind already all set up. This is Tier 10 matchmaking, kind of the usual faith for Tier 8s in general, and my plan is to play rather cautious at the beginning of the game and let the most powerful warships on my side to take the lead while I double my efforts to think of a way to make the most out of my own ship. The good thing is, I am already quite familiar with the type of battleship I'm sailing with right now. I've grinded through the USN Dreadnought almost directly when I first joined in. And if you guys have been following me around for a long enough time, you'll remember that my first upload was a game in the North Carolina. So I do feel kinda like home sailing the Massachusetts. Although, like all warships in the game, she comes with pros and cons, and it's up to the player to find the balance between them and fine-tune their decisions, considering the strengths and weaknesses of their ships in a given situation. And on this scenario, it is pretty straightforward for me. I cannot mess up more than once, and if I do make too big of a mistake, this Tier 10 matchmaking won't be forgiving whatsoever. So here is the thing. For those who have played either Alabama, North Carolina or Massachusetts right here, you know more or less how the gun system works. High shell arcs, low drag on the shells but then rather low velocity, compared to a piece at least. These gun systems have a double edge that I really enjoy though. The arcs allows you to shoot over islands a bit more often than expected, but on the other hand, the lead is going to be much greater. Furthermore, your shells are more likely to penetrate with plunging fire at medium to long range, and that is something to consider when aiming at a far away target. Then comes the secondaries. 11.3 kilometers of maximum range, which is matched but not topped by anything else in the game, except maybe high-tier French battleships. They are also able to engage over islands, actually more efficiently than the main battery guns. All of this to say that my plan is to set up near sea, protected by the island at square F8, and hold that position until further notice. And on the first glance at the minimap, we already know that the sea cap will be quite busy. Des Moines, Zau, Tirpitz, Alsace, and potentially a Rhone will be active on this flank. But I am undetected, the enemies are not aware of my position, and the Zau, sailing in the open, is going to be my first target. Our first volley is sent, she realizes her mistake and angles out, but it is too late. Our salvo lands for half of the cruiser's HP, and a citadel. The element of surprise is over now, but I'm extremely satisfied with this opening. On the A side, our team has already managed to take out an enemy Shimakaze, but shortly after, we traded our Z-52 against the enemy Harugumo. Although, we have enough action here to keep us occupied for sure. I've instantly turned out to angle against Alsace's potential return fire, and my secondaries are already engaging. I've actually chosen a full secondary build because Massachusetts, if given the right skills and upgrades, can be deadly with them. The IFHE will allow you to deal more raw damage to superstructure and low armored parts that the 127mm gun would not be able to penetrate without this tier 4 skill. Of course, I am sacrificing concealment or anti-air, but again, you choose your build from your playstyle, or you adapt it for a specific task, and the task I've chosen is to hold C as long as I possibly can. Taking a look at my positioning now, I've reached the F8 position after executing a U-turn, and now I'm keeping myself well angled, providing me one of the best strengths of the USN battleship line at this tier, tankiness. And meanwhile, I'm also making myself a low-profile target, lessening the amount of ships that can engage me at once, while still able to use the full effect of my firepower. And so far, it is working out quite nicely. The Tier 9 French Dreadnought is in a very rough spot, completely exposed and under sustained fire from both the Friedrich secondaries, my own, and the Hindenburg's relentless HE damage. So, even though we were supposedly outnumbered, we are doing a great job holding them back. I'm risking a bit too much broadside here, but I want to punish that Tirpitz. At this range, one of Massachusetts' traits is not really displayed correctly. The guns are not as accurate as one could think. Officially, the sigma over armament is set at 1.7, making an already hard to aim system into an almost unreliable one. But once you close the gap, pretty much in secondary range, you will still retain the kick the 406mm can provide. And well, it's not like we were that far away from our targets, and even though I was able to hit the German warship quite hard, we completely whiffed our shots on the Zau at 12 kilometers, even though the lead was good and she was throwing flat broadside. Meanwhile though, our secondary is still blazing, we managed to rack up 80,000 points of damage already, which is nothing to complain about that early in the game. On the other hand, the enemy's presence around us is way more dense than I've anticipated, and B has fallen into the red team's hands. We are going to get the kill on the very hurt Alsace with a close quarter expert, all the while dodging torpedoes from an enemy destroyer. Not a luxury our Friedrich will be able to get, and now only the Takao and the Hindenburg are backing me up. I take advantage of this torpedo evasion to push forward and deny the Tirpitz's angle as fast as possible. Another good volley on his broadside, subsequently the German battleship takes torpedoes and is pretty much out of the fight already. Although, I'm going to encounter something I do not especially want to fight at close range. Enemy Missouri has decided to heavily flank our positions, and we were lucky to move out an angle against him before he picked the island. At this point I have no choice but to engage in a CQB manner. If this Missouri wants to dance, I'll put on my red shoes. Shots out. Missouri was broadside enough so I could hit a citadel. Unfortunately we missed it, but we still landed 12,000 points of damage. Very nice trade, since I bounced most of his fire and only took a full pan for a third of the damage I dealt in return. I'm trying to guess what will be the Missouri's next move, but I'm extremely enthusiastic about a possible ram. Fortunately for me, the Missouri messed up his approach and we are able to rotate around his broadside and hit it from point blank. 3 citadels, followed by 3 full penetrations for almost 53,000 points of damage. Take that, Missouri! And even though this was a fantastic pass, the American dreadnought is still sailing. He forced me to expose myself to the wrath incoming from B. Enemy North Carolina, Neptune, Rune, Harugumo. I'm taking extensive damage from the rear while trying to rotate my guns and finish off this goddamn Missouri. Lock and load. I'm aiming at the upper belt, but our RNG that has given is now going to take back. Only 3 over-penetrations, downing the Missouri to not even 600 HP. I was expecting my secondaries to finish him off, but at this range they were having a hard time hitting the Missouri's superstructure and were instead bouncing on his stern. I switched my attention to the enemy Rune, that is throwing me a flat broadside, although she's equipped with that infamous turtleback armor, and we are too close to overmatch it. She gets away with it. And happening all at once, we lost our Takao, Missouri got secured by our Hindenburg, but in return she got burned down by the enemy Des Moines at sea. I am left completely alone on this flank, versing probably more than 5 enemy ships, but Des Moines is going to mess up real hard. We caught him in a full turn when trying to angle in towards me. Shot is out instantly and we are going to obliterate the Tier 10 US cruiser, earning Confederate high caliber and devastating strike. And we can finally breathe for a moment here. What a brawl, what a good brawl this was. And suddenly our damage has climbed to almost 230,000, with 260 secondary hits. This goes to show that this ship is asking for close range fights, and that will allow me to bring another point. Even though I am rather safe, for the time being that is, I still took an extensive amount of damage, but if you paid attention, I was always able to hit it back quite rapidly, like I am doing right now. This hill right here is, after the secondaries we already reviewed, the second bread and butter of the Massachusetts. With the premium consumables enabled, and either the high alert skill or the November Foxtrot flag, the recharge on your hill can be brought down to under 40 seconds. And that right here is what makes this warship scary. Only 10 seconds more than your actual main battery reload time, you can repair any light damage received and keep your hit points leveled throughout an engagement. It allows for an already tanky warship to reliably heal on the spot at basically any time. I only have one of these heals left though, and I'm still quite alone around here. I've managed to push into sea, but I'm confident that multiple enemy ships are moving around to get me. Rune evades a broadside again. From this point, every single moves I make and decisions I take can quickly lead to my demise. On the good side though, our team has managed to secure the entirety of the A flank and is now pushing back towards B. I do not expect them to arrive in time to save me though, but the longer I hold, the better it will be for my team. I decide to cut the engine right here and rotate the guns starboard. B being not as safe for the enemies as it was previously, with my team pushing it now, I'm pretty sure I'll be engaged from the right side first. I am more worried about the last seen position of the enemy Harugumo. At this point, torpedoes would make such quick work of me, but I'm still on a full stop to try and capture Objective C. Unfortunately, the sneaky Zhao is going to set up at almost maximum range and engage me from all the way across Delta 5, resetting the cap and threatening to set me on fire. And look at that minimap. Last seen location of the Rune, the Des Moines, the Harugumo, and the Neptune all of them might be, and probably already are, converging towards my position. I do not know what to expect. I do not have any vision, nor the means to get it, so I am just sitting there, waiting for my last stand to come. And here we go. Either we are being radared by Des Moines, or even worse, hydroed by the Rune. I am going to settle for this last guess, though, and be ready to rush forward to evade what seems to be a torpedo rush attempt from the German cruiser. Friendly Des Moines is pushing into B. That could be good news, since he might have a crossfire on whoever wants to push me from the front, but I'm ready. I'm ready for you, Rune. And as I expected, she is indeed rushing me. Out of all the other cruisers, she had to be a German one, and at this range, even though my shot was waterline, it's nearly impossible to hit her citadel. We still land a very nice 16k volley, but nothing good enough to stop her in her course. Secondaries are opening up, and as I'm pushing forward to get out of potential torpedoes, enemy Des Moines pops up in front of me. Well, well, well. well, well, well. Here I am, pincered by two cruisers, and if I need to choose one, I will pick Des Moines any day. Like his fallen brother, he is throwing me the perfect broadside, and at this range, well, he's just going to die very, very quickly. Although, right before we sunk him, a full AP salvo from his super heavy shells downed us to 8,000 points of damage. This is it. I'm trying to rotate my guns and engage the Rune before she inevitably takes me out, but look who's going to appear at the perfect timing. Neptune, point blank, broadside. Oh, sorry. Neptune, point blank, destroyed. But the irony. Even if we pulverized the British cruiser, her secondaries sets us on fire, on full damage control without any heals left, and we go down burning. What an insane run, and what a more insane frustration for me. For those who have been following me around, this is the first video that is not featuring a Kraken unleashed. But when I looked at the top right corner of my screen, all the bad thoughts went away. Surprisingly long after we died, the game kept going for an uncomfortable length. The enemy Harugumo gave our team some nasty surprises, and even if at this stage we had a very strong ship advantage, the game ended in a 2 versus 1, with a victory regardless. 324,000 points of damage dealt. Not in my habits to brag about it, but this is Massachusetts' damage record on the European server so far. 23,000 XP earned and 1,200,000 credits gained. We achieved 2 devastating strikes, Confederate, Close Quarter Expert, High Caliber, and a missed out Kraken Unleashed. We've hit 55 shells, 13 citadels, 1 secondary hit short of 300, set 3 fires, and killed 4 enemy ships. Massachusetts is now definitely one of the strongest Tier 8 battleships in my book. The healing potential combined with its armor and implacable secondaries makes it a pretty dangerous berserker, even if range engagements are not really where it shines. I hope that I was able to demonstrate how well she can perform in some various situations and display her pros and cons efficiently. I also hope that you've enjoyed your time here and that you learned something about the game doing so. I thank you once again for the fantastic feedback you all have been giving me on the last uploads as well. For those who are interested, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. It really helps the channel grow. If you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, well, thumbs down, but stay tuned anyway. As always, there is still more content to come about World of Warships. So, until next time, you have a good one, and you take it easy.